No. Okay. Welcome, those of you who are watching, and this is Tej. This is his first um, class for the advanced. Um, so I just want to explain just basics. I have a couple minutes before I get into the first class. I'm going to share the document first. Um, the wonderful thing about this class is everything's one-stop shopping. So you'll notice this is my Google roster. It says it's updated Wednesday, June 4th, right? Um, Everything for advanced students is in one convenient place. Um, so you'll notice this week is week one. So we have 2 weeks of classes as advanced students. In week one, we will go over the proponents side of a controversial issue. Week two, we'll go over the other side. And what we usually find with argumentative essays is both sides are right. Both sides have a point. And what your job to do is to look at how I'm pulling information out. So I'm going to start with, first of all, I'll start with video. Um, we'll just go ahead and watch the
It
video.
only takes a small amount to sweeten your food or drinks. Not only do they make your food and drinks taste better, sugar substitutes can help you stick with a healthy meal plan to prevent type 2 diabetes. First, sugar substitutes are not carbs. So unlike sugar, they do not have much effect on your blood glucose levels. Sugar substitutes also have almost no calories. Choosing diet soda and other drinks, such as iced tea, can cut calories from your diet. Some common sugar substitutes include aspartame, which is sold by the brand names Gatorade and NutraSweet, saccharin, which is sold by the brand name Sweeteners, and sucralose, which is sold by the brand name Splenda. Stevia is a plant-based sugar substitute from a South American plant. Truvia is a stevia-based sweetener. You might have heard that some sugar substitutes, like aspartame, have a bad reputation, but it is approved by the FDA and safe to use. You can always talk to your doctor to learn more about safe use of sugar substitutes. Now that you know about sugar substitutes, let's move on to sugar alcohols. There are carbohydrates in certain fruits and vegetables, but they can also be manufactured. Despite their name, sugar alcohols do not have any alcohol in them. The most common sugar alcohols found in foods and other products include maltitol, mannitol, sorbitol, and xylitol. Sugar alcohols are not sweeter than sugar. Some are even less sweet than sugar. Also, they contain calories, but they're lower in calories than sugar, so they're still a better option than regular sugar. Sugar alcohols are in many processed foods and other products, such as chocolate, chewing gum, and toothpaste. They are mainly used to add sweetness and texture to food and help food stay moist. Remember, sugar substitutes and sugar alcohols can help manage your blood glucose and weight. However, moderation is key, especially with products that have sugar alcohols. Too much can cause bloating, gas, and diarrhea. You can find sugar substitutes in many different foods and drinks labeled as sugar-free or no added sugar, like iced tea and cereal bars. You also can find them in puddings, canned food, jams, and jellies, yogurt, and even candy. But there are a few things to keep in mind when reading nutrition labels with sugar substitutes. If a product is labeled sugar-free, it means it has no sugar or almost no sugar. A product with no added sugar means no extra sugar was added during processing. But the original food or drink might have had sugar, such as fruit juice concentrate, and that sugar is still in the food. Also, keep in mind that sugar-free foods are not always calorie-free. There are other ingredients in there that have calories, so eating too much can still cause weight gain. For the most health benefits, though, you should always stick to sweet whole foods to satisfy your craving for sweets. Want to take a deep dive on sugar substitutes? Check out your accompanying handout for more information.
Stop sharing. I stopped shared without turning it off, which that's not good. Okay, so how this class works is I usually find a video. It's really not hard to find a video on controversial topics at all. So as you can see, we're talking about artificial sweeteners. So Tej, what you don't know, and what a lot of people who are watching know, last month I actually did artificial colors. And it just kind of was the perfect transition to talk about because number one, we're the number one obese nation. You know, in America, we got a bad reputation. Let me give you the statistics for obesity. 40% of adults in the United States of America meet the clinical criteria for obesity. What does that mean? a high BMI or body mass index, which signifies excessive body fat. Women tend to be more obese than men. What is more concerning is the rise in obesity rates, specifically children. According to the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 1 in 5 children today are clinically obese. That's 20% of all children in the United States. So we have food manufacturers capitalizing on that. They are contributing to this problem by adding sugar in pretty much every food or drink. And they don't even have to tell you. All they have to do, according to the Food and Drug Administration, is put it on the label. How often do you think kids your age, Tej, read the label?
Not at all.
Yeah. Breakfast cereals, extra sugar. That probably doesn't surprise you. Soda, sugar. Sports drinks, sugar. Bread, believe it or not, sugar. Candy, no brainer. Salad dressing, ketchup. I have a recipe for chili that I put brown sugar in. So if I'm doing that when I'm cooking from scratch, I'm going to guess manufacturers are putting sugar into our foods without our knowledge. So part of this obesity trend is what we're eating and what we are being given to eat, right? So adults and kids in the US are consuming too much sugar, which obviously can lead to health problems. And this, the health problems are extreme. It can be, and I'm going to look in my document here on page 1, from high blood sugar, which can lead to diabetes, insulin resistance. Our body produces insulin naturally, metabolic syndrome, obviously dental issues, increased triglycerides. Then we've got heart, stroke, type 2 diabetes. So what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is now we have another company that's coming in. This is the diet industry, and they're making the weight loss diet industry is booming. They're trying to capitalize on all these people who are obese. You've probably seen the ads for semaglutide, or Wegovy, or Ozempic, weight loss. And I'm just going to tell you, it works. My son lost 100 pounds on Ozempic. It works. I'm going to tell you, he also had really bad side effects that go with that. Do you know how many people have tried Ozempic or have tried these diet fads? We want a quick fix, right? So what do we do instead? Well, instead of grabbing that Coke, we grab a Diet Coke, right? Instead of grabbing a sugar drink, we grab a drink that says sugar-free, right? And it's pretty smart thinking, oh, well, I'm going to save myself a bunch of calories, right? Okay, so here's what the other side says. These sugar substitutes are unnatural. They are chemicals. And they're probably detrimental to the body if consumed in huge quantities and over time, because they have no nutritional value whatsoever. Okay, so the proponents say artificial sweeteners effectively allow consumers to remove excess sugar, which will help them reduce the calories, reduce weight, reduce their body mass index, and help them to make healthier choices. Okay, so that's what we're going to argue today. So I'm going to share the screen again. How do we go about that? Well, I'm pretty nice here. What I've done, okay, thank you. I don't need that. On your advanced document is if you click on the articles, and I'm so nice, everybody. I have done all the research for you. By the way, it takes me a couple hours to research all of it. I try to pick the most recent current information. I will look for documents that are the most current, the most recent. I will look for reputable sources. You'll see the first articles from Johns Hopkins Medicine. I will look for .edu, .org. I will not look for .com. So I'm really looking for specific things. And what I'm looking when I go through these documents is I'm looking to see if I can prove both sides of this controversy. So I'm going to be honest with you, Tej. The reason I chose this one last month was food dyes, which was really cool. We learned a lot of stuff in food dyes. My husband has an addiction to Diet Pepsi. Not lying. The first thing he grabs in the morning is not tea or coffee, it's a Diet Pepsi. And I'm looking at him, he has like 3 a day. I'm like, that is not good for you. That cannot be good for you. There's no nutritional value in that. It's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not fine. So I really set out to prove that it wasn't good. But I also knew there's a reason he went for it. My husband has a master's degree. He's an educated man. He's like, no, it says diet. It's no calories. It's better than consuming 225 calories and I don't even know how many milligrams of sugar in our Coke. I'd have to look it up. It's not good. Okay, so what is sugar? What is this whole thing about? It is a type of carbohydrate, as are fiber and starch. Sugar comes from the sugar cane, so it is natural. Um, Sugar is an umbrella term for many types of simple carbohydrates, including white table sugar. So here's what happens when that plant, the sugar cane, when that sugar is taken from the plant, it is processed down into sugar granules. It goes through a chemical process, Tej. So no, sugar is not good for you. Okay, it is broken down in a chemical process. Um, so it's called sucrose or sugar. It is the most common sweetener, donuts, cakes, pies, any baked good. Um, Sugar can also be found naturally. Your three most sugary fruits are pineapple, mango, and banana. Those are natural sugars. So what's the difference? Okay, well, natural sugars, not inherently bad for you. Our bodies need sugar. Our bodies actually process carbohydrates and turn them into glucose, which creates fuel and energy. So if you're like Michael Phelps, I kind of laugh. I remember when he was swimming at the Olympics and he was ingesting 5,000 calories a day. And I was like, oh my gosh, that must be nice just to be able to eat whatever you want, right? Um, but he needed carbohydrates for that fuel and that energy. Okay. Um, the cells pull the glucose from the bloodstream, use it for fuel and energy. So if you remove sugar, that's not healthy either. So it's all about balance. Okay. So there's a difference between adding sugar and naturally occurring sugar. So naturally occurring sugar is going to be in your fruits. Okay. And it's actually good for you. We're talking about unnatural sugar, artificial, synthetically, chemically created sugar. Okay. Um, when we talk about sweeteners. So sugar substitutes taste sweet, but don't contain sugar. Got it? They have fewer calories or 0 calories. They're labeled sugar-free, keto, low carb, or diet. Artificial sweeteners are called non-nutritive, basically no nutritional value whatsoever because they're created from chemicals in a lab. So does that even sound like it's better than sugar? Okay. Most artificial sweeteners are extremely sweet as compared to regular sugar. I know a lot of people that like sugar cubes. They put little sugar cubes in their hot tea, especially Great Britain tea with, for tea in Great Britain. And they'll put like 3 of them in there. Well, it's really not a lot um, when you compare um, the sweetness in a drop of, say, stevia. Um, Unnatural sweeteners can be 200, well, and I've looked at different articles. It says 10, 20, 200, 2,000 times sweeter than table sugar. Well, why would you want that? Because um, manufacturers can add just a little bit of artificial sweetener in your food and you would never be the wiser, would you? You wouldn't know. Traditionally, artificial sweeteners have been the only option for people who need to monitor their glucose levels or weight. So the best argument that I could come up with, Tej, is the video I played you, and that is diabetics. Imagine living in a world where, and I knew a young girl in my daughter's playgroup at the age of 10 was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. That's pretty tough for a kid to know they can never have sweets, right? So dietary sugars, artificial sweeteners give diabetics an option, right? They have some kind of sweet food option. So this is just going to break down, like the video said, artificial sweeteners, those are these. I'm not even going to name the names, are one kind. A second kind are sugar alcohols. These are mostly in chewing gum, hard candies, and there's a list of those as well. Novel sweeteners are your healthiest. They're from plant-derived non-caloric sweeteners. They are mostly stevia, tagatose, monk fruit, allulose. These are generally regarded as safe and more similar to natural than artificial sweeteners. So if you're gonna choose, you know, anything that's, excuse me, considered artificial, you want to go to the novel sweeteners. Okay, should I cut sugar from my diet? No. Um, that's not good either. What you should do is get your sugar from nutrients um, found in fruits, whole grains, and dairy. So keto diet, basically you go into ketosis. It's your body starving itself. That's how you can lose weight. And they basically is a no carb diet. And they say that's not good for you either. Um, okay, so I'm going to switch over. What sugar does have going for it? Um, Love this. Why do we need sugar? Why do we need carbs? Eating sugar releases dopamine in your body. I've talked about dopamine in so many essays. Dopamine is a natural hormone. When you run, dopamine, right? When anything is pleasurable, something's funny and you laugh, dopamine. Your brain triggers this natural hormone, dopamine. It's a feel-good chemical. So when you eat sugar, your body goes, "Ooh, I'm happy. I like that." Um, so what's the problem with that?
You want to get more happy, like you get too happy.
No, what happens is you want to go right back to that source that gave you that high. So sugar, according to Dr. Young, and this, if you go back in the article, this is from the Cleveland Clinic. This is Dr. Melissa Young. So you always want to make sure you state who's saying what. Sugar is absolutely addicting. In addition to stimulating the areas of the brain related to addiction, eating sugar drives your blood sugar up. So you're on a roller coaster, which drops your blood sugar. Then you crave more, and then over and over again. So when you eat sugar, it connects into your brain this high, and you want more of it. Don't know if you know this, but a sugar addiction is actually harder to break than cocaine or a drug addiction. It's pretty hard to break that. So here's our argument here for artificial sweeteners. It is a way for you to wean yourself off of sugar. Yes, your body craves the sugar. Well, instead of giving it sugar, give it a sugar substitute, right? So really, really interesting argument there. Kind of makes sense. Um, Natural sugars um, offer up sweetness and fiber, fill up your stomach, but don't tend to have the same addictive reaction that that regular sugars do, artificial sugars. So according to Dr. Young, sweet and sugary foods should be a once in a while thing. No artificial sweetener can turn into an unhealthy food into a healthy one. Swapping out sugar for artificial sweetener isn't going to give you the health benefits you're looking for. But what it is a substitute so that you don't consume those calories. Government health agencies oversee ingredients that product makers add to food. So the Food and Drug Administration allows certain additives, and they have to go through inspection. They have to go through specific guidelines for corporations to be actually able to use them. What's really interesting is last month we talked about food dyes, and in America, we're actually most lenient when it comes to food dyes. But other countries, such as those in the European Union, actually have more sugar, sweet, artificial sweetener options than we do, which I find interesting. Obviously, the obvious one is if you replace a Coke with a Diet Coke, that's better for your teeth. Okay, that's a no-brainer, right? You're going to get cavities from sugar. You're not going to get cavities from anything that's sugar-free. So that kind of makes sense. Health agencies have clarified sugar substitutes do not cause serious health problems. So a lot of the arguments are, well, if it's a chemical, if it's artificial, it's probably not good for you. Well, their assumption on this side, the proponent side, is, well, how much of that little powder that's artificial sweetener or that drop of stevia are you putting in your food? Because the assumption here is it's not that much, and it's going to be less than sugar. And 1 tablespoon of sugar is 50 calories. 50 calories in 1 tablespoon of sugar, right? Um, Interesting. Go here. The best sugar substitute for people with diabetes. You'll notice this is from the Healthline editorial team, dated April 25th, 2024. So again, I try to find the most recent information. So this just talks about stevia. It talks about, this is the antagonists that come from the natural plant. Eating artificial sweeteners in moderation may help with short-term weight loss and diabetes management. As of 2023, the World Health Organization advised against using non-nutritive sweeteners for managing weight, including artificial sweeteners and stevia. Well, that doesn't help my argument. So that is actually the wrong color. I need to put that in blue. So you'll notice I have it color coded. So those of you who are watching who are new to the class as well. The other thing I do, Tej, that's pretty cool, what you're probably watching me do is, yes, I've read all 20 pages. I know them inside and out. And I'm guessing you're not going to read all 20 pages because none of my other students do, Tej. But you know what they do? They read the parts I highlight because I've already done that for you. I've highlighted what the best arguments were. So here I go. According to Harvard psychiatrist Dr. Chris Palmer, some people aren't ready to give up sweet desserts or beverages, and there's existing evidence that switching from sugar-sweetened beverages to zero-caloric ones is beneficial. For a long time, I didn't think artificial sweeteners could possibly have any negative effects on mental health. Okay, that's the other sign. Don't want that one. Make that blue. So I'm going to go through. You can kind of see. I go in and I mark it for you and I mark it for me. So I didn't even know that there was a council here on so sugar substitute. There's a reason sweeteners are showing up in more foods. People are looking for products lower in sugar, according to Dr. Mary Nessel, PhD, Professor Emerita of Nutrition, Food Studies, and Public Health at NYU. According to a 2024 survey of the International Food Information Council, 76% of Americans say they're trying to limit the amount of sugar they consume for a variety of reasons, including improving their diet, losing weight, preventing health problems like heart disease and diabetes. So food manufacturers are responding to the growing demand by using non-sugar sweeteners to replace some of the sugar in their products. Several of these are calorie-free. Others have nearly as many calories as sugar. So Carla Saunders, president of the Calorie Control Council, I didn't know such a thing existed, an industry group that presents manufacturers of sugar substitutes, says these sweeteners provide the texture, taste, convenience, and quality manufacturers need and consumers want. So those of you that remember last month when we talked about food dyes, we expect our food to be a certain color. If it's orange soda, we expect it to be orange. If it's a pink hot dog, we expect it to be pink, right? And by the way, hot dogs aren't pink, they're gray, which is why we add food coloring. So here it is again, manufacturers have figured out how to please consumers. We want foods to taste good. So they're adding not just regular sugar, but unnatural sugars to the foods that we eat. And we may be ingesting them and not even knowing it. Controlling your weight may seem like the most obvious reason to choose products with non-sugar sweeteners. Some research shows sugar substitutes not only reduce sugar intake, but can decrease weight as well. So the Diet Coke argument seems to work here. The Calorie Control Counselor says non-sugar sweeteners are safe, pointing out governments around the world allow their use. The FDA has approved all the sweeteners added to the food in the US based on studies on animals and people. It also set acceptable daily limits for many of them. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you, and I just got to page 16. There's a little bit more here, and we stop at page 19. So I went through 19 pages and basically gave you the yellow parts. Anything in red is really important. So look at that as well. So I go back to my advanced document, and now I'm going to give you the outline. So I'm so nice. I do the research for you. I highlight the most important points, and then I take those most important points, Tej, and I put them in an outline for you. Aren't I nice? Right? So everything I just read, I'm going to show you how I pulled it in. The lead, you don't even know this, but I already did it with you. Why are we talking about diet products, Diet Cokes, sugar-free? Because we are the #1 obese nation. And the diet and weight industry is booming. You want to make money? Get into the diet weight loss industry. Artificial sweeteners can reduce health problems such as obesity, diabetes, and dental issues simply by eliminating sugary calories. So compared to natural sugar, 50 calories per tablespoon, non-nutritive or artificial sweeteners can offer those who are dieting or monitoring their sugar intake a preferred option. The human body. So this is everything I've already talked about. So I've literally already talked about all this. All I did was give it into point 1. Point 2, artificial sweeteners are showing up in more foods because American consumers are demanding them. They want to reduce calories, lose weight, or maintain health. So this is Marion Nessel, PhD from NYU. I already gave her quote. So why do we use a credible expert? Well, Tej, no one's going to believe you, and no one's going to believe me. We're not experts in our field. So this is where ethos, pathos, logos comes into play. This is ethos. You're going to name the expert, name their expertise, and you're going to quote them. You should never summarize an expert. You're taking value from their statement. So you'll notice that I even give you the quotes. I mean, how nice am I? Make sure when I give you the quotes, though, that you understand the context they were given and you understand what they mean and you explain them. So I'm taking information out of the document, putting it in an outline for you and telling you this is a really good argument. But I'm not really explaining the argument. All I'm doing is putting it in an outline for you, saying this is a good argument. Your job is to connect it from one idea to the next. Does that make sense? Are you with me so far, Tej? Okay. Artificial sweeteners can often be used to wean a person off high-calorie sugary treats until they're able to cut sugary foods out altogether. That's a great argument. In 2018, the American Heart Association, hello, credible, right? Released a statement explaining artificially sweetened beverages may be a good way for adults consuming a sugary beverage or food when consuming a sugary beverage or food is not an option to cut back on sugary calories. Okay, so obviously here, the American Diabetic Association. Again, when you have diabetes, you can't eat sugar. It's life and death for you. Artificial sweeteners or foods with artificial or drinks with artificial sweeteners, that may be the only joy you get in your life. They say artificial sweeteners are safe for people with diabetes to consume as long as they don't eat more than the amounts recommended by the FDA. And it's been shown that if they use specifically stevia, it can suppress plasma glucose levels and significantly increase glucose tolerance. It's been shown to be an antioxidant and have anti-diabetic properties. So they're not just saying you can use artificial sweeteners. They're telling you you need to use the plant-based ones. Consumption of foods and beverages containing artificial sweeteners in limited amounts can be beneficial to one's health because it eliminates excessive sugars in the diet. That's what we wanted to prove. And I hope that's what I proved. Proponents of artificial sweeteners present valid arguments supporting the need for a sugar alternative, especially for consumers who suffer from health problems such as obesity and diabetes, as well as those who want to reduce sugar intake to maintain health. So I even gave you kind of a conclusion. So I will tell you this, Tej. What you see here looks like one body paragraph, right? It's actually three. So point one is one body paragraph. Point two is one body paragraph. Point three is one body paragraph. So what I want you to do is those 3 points. That's it. No lead, no conclusion. So anybody new should only be doing the body content. Anybody who isn't new and is on summer break should be adding the lead and the conclusion. Got it? Okay, so Tej, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. Do you have any questions before we leave? It's a lot. Just
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot of.
and you don't have to read all 19 pages. Most people don't. I would say read the highlighted, the yellow highlight is proponents. Read through it, make sure you understand it. Look at the outline, make sure you understand why I pulled what I pulled. And then make sure you understand in the context that it was given. And your job is to prove that claim that artificial sweeteners can be good. That's what your job is. Okay? All right, this concludes it.
Yeah.
It's good to go.
Where do I? Where's access? Where do I get access for this?
I'm going to send you that right now. I'm going to put it
Okay.
in. Let me stop share right here. I'm going to put, sorry, I am going to put that in the chat box right now for you. Okay, did you get it?
Yes.
Okay, that is the link. And I'll send you stuff later today. I just have students that just walked in, so I got to go. Okay.
Okay. And do you want me to write the essay for the class I took yesterday or no?
Mhm.
The fables?
Yeah, and then we'll get your last one when you come back.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.